I want to start out and let you know, please feel free to share. Like Deborah, great getting to hear what you're doing and, able to hear what people are doing. And as we move through the workshop, we'll be talking some about, you know, getting in touch with our true self, our vision for our lives. We're going to be talking about setting big goals and then aligning our habits with those goals. So feel free to share and get feedback. You can either put items in the Zoom chat or come off mic and stay on camera, and happy to get some feedback that way as well. So this is meant to be interactive, and we always love and feel like people get the most out of it when we're able to share. So let's go ahead and get started here. I did want to do a couple things before we get deep into it, and I want to start with just a question, and that is, what's one habit that you wish you could stick to that would change your life? What's one habit you wish you could stick to that would change your life? And if you didn't see it on the initial slide, if you have a pen and a piece of paper or a journal, that would be absolutely wonderful. This is, we're going to take some breaks between each of the different sections that are exercises that are time for you to, think and journal about goal setting and setting habits that align with your goals. So you want to get a piece of paper. So I want to ask you first, what's one habit you wish you could stick to that would change your life? And granted, you can also just drop these in the chat like it says there as well. That makes it super easy. And if you want to write them down, that's great too. So what's one habit you wish you could stick to that would change your life? We'll give you just like, a few seconds. Regular reading and studying. That's great. For me, I track my habits that I'll show you a little bit later. And in those, one thing that I don't get to as much, and over the last couple weeks, I actually have, and that is exercise and yoga. I have on my daily habits, and I don't get to those as much as I should. But over the last couple weeks, I've gotten to either yoga or the gym every single day, with exception of a couple days here and there. So I'm feeling much better physically. Chad, learning new things. I think we're seeing a recurring theme, Deborah and Chad in learning and studying and growing, expanding our minds and our knowledge. So thank you for sharing those. So, if we could change our life by those, we're going to give you a framework that allows you to implement those and start making those a part of your daily routine. And we're going to ensure that you're able to stick to the habits so they align with your big goals and who you truly want to be. And to get fully present here, I just want to take a couple minutes to make sure that we're fully present and not on emails and not texting with folks and not distracted by all the distractions of life. Instead, we just want to be fully present here. So we're going to take just a moment to ground. So if you don't mind joining me, we're just going to take a moment to, either close your eyes or drop your gaze down low. This is almost like a short little meditation. It's a way to just be fully present. We're going to do this by dropping our gaze down low or closing our eyes and just breathing for a moment. And then you want to join me in taking a deep breath in through your nose and then holding it at the top and then sighing it out. So we're going to take a deep breath in and hold it for a moment at the top and then sigh it out. And I like threes, so we're going to do two more of those. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Sips of air up down to the bottom of your belly and hold it at the top and sigh it out. And one more deep breath in through the nose and hold it at the top and then sigh it out. Let it all go. Now, with your eyes still closed, your gaze down low, just take another 30 seconds or so just to find your normal breath. Just pay attention to your breath. Don't get stuck on any thoughts. Only pay attention to the breath coming in and going out. If you can do that through your nose, that's great. In and out. Inhale, followed by an exhale. Inhale and exhale. Just pay attention to your breath and don't get stuck on any thoughts. Let your thoughts just go by like clouds going through the sky. Just take a few more seconds to breathe. Be fully present here together today. Okay, now that we're fully present here, ready to go today, I just want to know, I want you to know that we're here in order to grow. So if you've struggled to stay consistent, it's not that you're falling short in life. You've just been trying to force a version of success that wasn't necessarily aligned with who you truly are. So today, we're going to reset that and we're going to rebuild from your true self. So the flow for today, what we're going to cover is first, why most goals fail. Second, how to set up the right goals, how to set the right goals. Third, how to build supportive habits. And that is habits that align with your goals, that support your goals. And lastly, how to get back up when life throws you off your routine. In other words, how to stay on track. So I want to start with a quote that I really love by Napoleon Hill. And Napoleon Hill said, "Desire's the starting point of all achievement, not a hope, not a wish, but a keen, pulsating desire which transcends everything." So if you have a desire to make this your best year ever and move past all that's held you back from living in complete happiness and bliss, then we will turn that desire into action. We're going to mold that burning desire for love, happiness, and success into real action that you can take today to live the life of your dreams. We're going to do this by aligning your habits with your dreams. Align your habits with your dreams. And how do I know that this works? Well, because I've done it. I'm not just teaching something I don't do. So over the last 7 years, I put a lot of work into this, and it took me a lot of trial and error and learning to get to a point where my big goals and my daily habits are aligned so that I can live the life of my dreams every day. And like I mentioned earlier, with 5 kids ranging from 4 to 16 and running 2 businesses, I've have to be. It's actually essential for me to be focused and disciplined to ensure that we, meaning all my family, can all live happily and productive. So I decided 7 years ago that I wanted to figure out why I wasn't necessarily achieving what I hoped to achieve and why I was looking in the mirror with disappointment and not seeing the joyful and successful person that I had hoped to be, or even that I appeared to be. I'm going to save you years worth of learning and mistakes to become who you're meant to be, to live the life of your dreams now. So if that sounds good, come on, come join me. And don't worry, this isn't going to be hard. There's no test at the end of this. It just requires a system that works for you. So we're going to tell you what that is today and give you the tools to be able to live the life of your dreams. So I want to start by discussing when I told you the workshop flow. In the first section, it's called Why Goals Fail. So first, we want to talk about how there is a way and sort of what keeps you from getting there. At the beginning of this year, we held an inspiring 8-week course called Thrive in 25. And it was to kick off the year right by implementing our big goals, some of which we'll talk about today. At the beginning of the course in early January, I shared with the entrepreneurs, professionals, and parents who joined us a statistic that we found in our research. And there it is. Less than 9% of adults achieve one New Year's goal, meaning 91% of adults who set goals reach 0 of them. How sad is that? So we put a bunch of research into it, and we started to learn why goals fail. Some of the common reasons that goals don't stick is, first, there's an unclear vision. Second, there are external pressures. And by this, I mean distraction and all the other things that come at you that keep you from your goals. Next, an unrealistic pace. And I know I was prey to this. I set a big goal a few years ago for a new company we started, but it was to hit a goal that we couldn't achieve in the period of time that we had allocated to hit it. So it was an unrealistic pace. And lastly, and perhaps most importantly, that we'll really get into today, and that is a lack of identity alignment, meaning the goals that you set may not be aligned with your true self. So we set goals that, maybe others want us to achieve, or goals that we think that sound good, maybe even to ourselves, but inside we know they're not aligned with our true self. So you're going to see a lot of quotes throughout today's workshop. As you can tell, I love quotes. They're very inspiring to me, and I take them with me and I share them with you. So I love this quote by Robert Brault, who said, "We're kept from our goal not by obstacles, but by a clear path to a lesser goal." So as you can see, these folks here, they saw a sign that said, "Great view over there." But actually, they were on their way to the mountaintop and they stopped short just to check out the view. They never got to their goal. They never got to the summit because they had a clear path to a lesser goal. We're always taking detours and getting off the highway to our dreams, not because it's too hard or too far, but because we're distracted by what's right in front of us. And an example, what's right in front of us, does scrolling through news or social media get you to your goal faster? No, it fills your brain with negative inputs of others, wastes your time, and takes your mind off of what matters most. Our addictions to the phone, alcohol, and drugs, and the negative news stream keep us distracted from our goals. And the distractions take us from what matters most, from our dreams and from our loved ones. Blaise Pascal, the famous French inventor and mathematician, said, "Distraction is the only thing that consoles us from our miseries, and yet it is itself the greatest of our miseries." It's our distraction that makes us in a miserable state, keeping us from our goals. Distraction takes us from who we're meant to be. We all have certain vices and bad habits that we want to overcome. And, we may not even recognize the dependence as a problem, but it still may take us from our natural state. And when we're taken from our natural state, we don't operate at our best. When you operate at your best, you put good stuff into your body and into your mind, and you consume positive content. So even if you're not distracted by all the modern distractions of life, many of us are kept from our real goals by that clear path to a lesser goal. A friend or coworker asks you to help out. Someone, shoot you a text and ask you if you can just jump in on something. A smaller task or goal comes up that's easily achievable, so we jump into it, leaving our big goals and dreams behind. The small tasks may give us a little hit that makes us feel better and feel some sense of accomplishment, but it delayed your real goal, your big goal that is your true self. So your true self knows this, and your inner voice calls to you. So you may experience some success, but it's not real success that your true self requires of you. Misaligned goals create confusion, anxiety, and burnout. This is why so many seemingly successful people are not happy, because their misaligned goals lead them to burnout. They may be achieving professional and work success, but they're just accomplishing small daily tasks. Inside, they're unhappy because they're not aligning their daily habits with their big goals. This creates confusion and leads to burnout. And you go one way when your true self knows you need to go another way. And this creates anxiety and confusion. But as I write in my book, Light in the Mirror, clarity brings confidence, and confidence is contagious. Another reason goals fail, even if they are clear, is that the clear goal is not aligned with your true self. Gandhi said, "We shut our ears to that still small voice inside us." But when you listen, meaning listening to your inner voice, truly listening to your inner voice propels us into the future with clarity. We all have a small voice that speaks to us about wanting an amazing life and nudges us to our personal and professional dreams and clamors for love and happiness. I want you to give a megaphone to that still small voice within. This is your true self and your higher power directing you where to go. When you listen to your inner voice, you are aligning your goals with your dreams and living on purpose. When you're clear on your goals and they're aligned with your true self, you can live the life of your dreams. And this alignment brings excitement and confidence to every single day as you move towards your goals. And this is the work and the research that I put over the years, put in this system and these practices, and I'm now living my dreams. And you can too. And that's what I want for you. So now that we've talked about why goals fail, I have a question for you. And this is one of those little activities at the end of a section. So we finished the end of the first section. Congratulations, you made it through. And like I said, if you can write these down, if you have a journal or pen or piece of paper, better to do it, there than digitally, unless you just enter it in the Zoom. Think of a goal you set in the past but didn't reach. And what do you think really got in the way? And I'll give you about, maybe 2 to 3 minutes. Just take a few minutes to think through that and write your answers. And you can share those in the chat, or you can share these, by coming off mute. But I'll give you just a couple minutes starting now. Think of a goal you've set in the past but didn't reach, and then consider what do you think really got in the way. And there's no right or wrong answer here. Just this is something to get our minds going as we start getting into the next section about aligning our goals with our true self. All right, just take another maybe 20, 30 seconds if you want to think about that, or get it down in your journal or piece of paper. We'll just give you about 30 more seconds. All right. All right. Thank you guys so much for sharing. These are some really big ones here. So many incoming things to address. Absolutely, Karen. I mean, it's absolutely overwhelming. And, I hope some of the message from today that gets through, as we'll discuss later, is saying no to a lot more. We don't have to handle everything. And really, a lot of that is just reacting to what others throw at us. And we really want to make every effort to focus in on our goals, get rid of all other distractions, say no to a lot more, and focus in on living as our true selves and living our goals and that not other people's. So that's a big one. I mean, it's just so much today. We could never get to everything that comes at us from all the different types of digital media. Speaking of digital things, Chad, making a video game, started many times and often the unrealistic time frame gets in the way. But that's what those things, that is a massive undertaking. I have no idea what that takes because I'm not a gamer, but my kids are. That undoubtedly takes, you know, many, many months or years, but I'm sure that's something you do if you space it out. And we're going to talk about setting goals, long-term goals, annual, quarterly, monthly goals that get you to those long-term goals. So, space it out. The journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step. You got to just start, but plan it out. Deborah, you wanted to earn a master's degree. Um, the material you longed to study that offered by the school conflicted was working extra hours, so I dropped the program. Well, you still can. It's never too late. So if you do still want to pursue that, obviously you can. But thanks for sharing that that was a goal that you didn't reach, and obviously other things that sounds like came at you. Um, Material you want to study and that was offered by the school conflicted. So there were that's some of those external pressures we talked about for, why goals fail. So certainly understand that. And thank you for sharing that. Um, Pam, overwhelmed, I assume, meaning, that's what led to getting in the way from reaching some of the goals you've set in the past. So hopefully today we can address some of these. I'm pretty sure and feel pretty confident that, the way we approach this allows you to get rid of a lot of those things that keep you from reaching those big goals and allow you to set those big goals and have habits that align with those goals. So um, now that we've talked about why goals fail, and I appreciate you being so honest and vulnerable and sharing some of those deeply personal things with me. I think I shared earlier when we were talking about why goals fail. Um, for me, one was starting this company to provide off-grid energy to consumers. We'd done big, solar projects for years for towns and cities and school districts and colleges and universities, but we wanted to make that smaller and bring it to people that are home, particularly, in the new role that home took with COVID days. And so we created this company, but we were going to get to a massive number of customers within a short period of time. Um, and it wasn't realistic. And I don't think we had thought all the way through the business model, and that failed. You'll hear, I'll talk a little bit about it later. It was, lost lots of money and, relationships, meaning, I had to let people go. And that was, very sad, difficult time for me. But, it failed due to that, I guess, unrealistic pace that we had set to try to do that instead of looking at really what needed to be done to, gradually get this out there. So thank you for sharing those. And now we're going to shift from, externally imposed goals that you may have had before to deeply personal, soul-led vision for your life. You're going to build an emotional connection to your true self. We're going to align your goals with your true self in this next section, part 2 of the workshop. So now we're going to talk about setting expansive goals, meaning ones that excite you. And aligning those goals with your true self ensures that you're set up for success. You get there through alignment and deliberate practice. So, it is good to have good habits, but where are they getting you? Are they aligned with your goals, your dreams, and your true self? So, this is an aligned habits workshop. It's not just a habits workshop. So, I mean, we could do habits and talk about productive, healthy habits, which we will later, but it's the aligned habits workshop. It's talking about aligning your habits with your goals. Are your habits aligned with your goals, your dreams, and your true self? You need to know where you're headed instead of just setting goals. I mean, and setting habits. So you need to set goals and you need to make them big. We're talking about setting big goals because having an expansive goal gets you excited. It's not just a little goal that you can achieve quickly. We want to start by going big. In other words, where do you want to be in 10 years or in 20 years? And don't worry about where you are right now. It doesn't really matter if you're 30, 50, 70, or 90. There's no end to what you can achieve at any age and at any point, but you have to think bigger. What is your big inspired goal? What seems outrageous to others, but you know in your heart is what you need to do? This is your North Star. That's the direction you need to head. Who do you want to be in 10 years? I know I'm a completely different person now than I was 10 years ago. So we're going to work backwards from 10 years out and then down to 3 years and then to this year, then to this quarter, then to this month, and then we'll set daily habits that bring those goals to life. See, they all link. I know it sounds, self-explanatory. You say, okay, I get it. I set a big goal and then I work it down. But creating a system to do that, we've created the tools that we'll provide to you after this workshop as well, that are, goal setting worksheet and a habit tracker. It's hard to focus with all the external distractions nowadays. So I want to know, are you the same person you are today that you were 10 years ago? I know for me, the answer is no, and it is for most of us. I look at where I was 10 years ago, I'm 50 now, where I was at 40, it seems like forever ago. And I know I'm a totally different person than I was then. I've learned so much more and I've evolved substantially. I'm even doing different things than I was back then. I mean, heck, I have 5 kids. I didn't even have 3 of them back then. And things have totally changed for me in lots of different ways. But the thing is, though, most of us are not the same person we were 10 years ago, but we set goals and plans as though we will be ourselves today, but just a little bit older. But it's not the case. You will be a totally different person in 10 years. There's this concept called perspection. And perspection is the ability to mentally represent and evaluate possible futures. It's a fundamental psychological skill that includes planning and imagining future scenarios. It's the psychological process of mentally representing and evaluating these scenarios that include planning and prediction. So when we envision future scenarios, a lot of times we limit ourselves to what we know now. However, there are no limits to what we can achieve. Our goal in this workshop is to open our minds to think without limits. Instead of thinking, hey, when I'm planning myself in 10 years, it's just going to be me, but a little bit older. I want you to forget all that. I want you to set big goals, opening up to your true self and planning goals that align with who you are meant to be, not who you are today. So I'm going to share the story that's kind of personal, but when I was just 27, I was in the second year of law school. I was just about to finish up second year of law school. It was right before exams. And that there was one evening that I was standing in the kitchen and my left leg felt a little warm. So I looked down to see if, I don't know, maybe there was a pipe under there or the dog just peed there, but my left foot felt warm and I touched the ground with my hand and there was nothing there and it didn't feel warm to the touch except to my foot. And I got into bed that night and my left leg started twitching every couple seconds. Within 2 days, I lost the ability to lift my left foot. And 2 days after that, I couldn't hold a pen or type with my right hand, which is kind of essential for law school exams. I was absolutely despondent. Like my head was spinning, my body was deteriorating. I'm like, I'm only 27. What on earth is happening to me? Am I going to die? I'd just been elected class president, editor in chief of Law Journal, and my bright future was quickly dimming. I didn't know what was happening. MRIs showed that I had lesions on my brain and on my spinal cord. This was the onset of multiple sclerosis. Now, I was relieved, however, when my dad, who's a physician, told me that I'm not going to die right now, but it could get worse. And I'm thinking, like, worse? How's limping along and not being able to use my right hand going to get any worse? And I was absolutely despondent. And I looked in the mirror and, I saw no hope. And I thought I just had to quit and I was going to be in a wheelchair. And the next day, I'm in the neurologist's office awaiting more tests and a spinal tap. And I went to the bathroom. I was waiting in the waiting room and I went to the bathroom and I looked in the mirror that next day, but I didn't see sadness and despair. Instead, I saw a spark. And all of a sudden, I had this thought. It occurred to me FDR was in a wheelchair and he did okay. I can do this. I'm not going to quit. I'm not going to be despondent and let, even losing mobility stop me from achieving my dreams. Now, over the next 3 years, when I overdid it as a young lawyer, I had 2 subsequent MS flare ups where I lost vision in each of my eyes due to lesions in my optic nerves. Our body is miraculous, though, and heals itself when we care for it properly. And although I have some residual nerve damage, meaning like my right hand's still a little numb, my left leg gets hypersensitive to cold, but you have to listen to your inner voice when it tells you to slow down. And thank God I've now gone almost 18 years, 19 years without another flare up. But the lesson is simple. You have to listen to that inner voice when it tells you to slow down, just like you have to listen to your inner voice when it tells you to get up and run into your future. We're talking about listening to your inner voice. And I wasn't listening to that still small voice inside anymore. And these are lessons I only considered and understood later in life. This is in my late 20s and early 30s. And I was just running around in circles as a young lawyer and then entrepreneur and parent. And for years, I saw sad eyes looking back at me in the mirror, wondering why I hadn't hit my potential. I knew I wasn't living as my true self. In the summer of 2018, I had a complete awakening. I decided I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I decided to work on improving myself and to start listening and growing again. So I've done intense study since then on personal growth and aligning our goals with our habits. And this 7-year journey has been extraordinary and brought me to a place of deep personal alignment with my true self and my personal, professional, and spiritual growth. And that's what I want for you. And once I saw the light in the mirror, it dawned on me. I'm meant to inspire others. That is what my true self is meant to do. That's what that still small voice inside had been telling me for decades. That's why I saw sad eyes looking at me in the mirror for so many years, because living as a lawyer and then clean energy entrepreneur isn't living as my true self. I'm not making enough impact every day. Writing books and inspiring you is my true calling. What is your true calling? In the immortal words of Nelson Mandela, who lived fully through struggle and triumph, there is no passion in playing small, in settling for a life that is less than the one you are capable of living. I want you to live the life of your dreams, which you can do today by living as your true self. So, how can you do this? First, listen to your inner voice. Second, write down what you hear, meaning listen to your inner voice, meditate on it, and then write down what you hear so that you can set big goals. And third, implement daily habits that help you live as your future self and achieve your goals. That's how you live the life of your dreams. And we're going to give you more tools that'll help you do that. It's not just leaving it to those 3, but that's how you live the life of your dreams. You listen to yourself, your true self, you write down what you need to do, and then you implement habits that help you live as your future self today. You can't live the extraordinary life of your dreams by playing small, by just going through the motions. Don't go through the motions at work. Make your motions work. We're here to set big goals and then create a clear plan to achieve those goals, followed by habits that will make your future come to life. That's how you're going to thrive in 2025. Be bold and be specific. Be bold and be specific. Famed business strategist and author of Good to Great, Jim Collins, you may have read him before, said, if you have more than 3 priorities, you have none. So we're going to set no more than 3 big goals. Everyone is so scattered trying to do everything well that we give it only our partial attention. I think it was Karen earlier who said so many incoming things to address. There's so much coming at us that we only give everything our partial attention. So if you want to thrive in 25 and achieve big goals, you have to limit your focus and say no to a lot more. I'm going to share my system for setting big goals and then aligning them with quarterly and monthly goals. We can help you refine your goals and then set daily habits that will help realizing your goals inevitable. So here's what I do, and we're going to share this system with you. First, and they're also uh, a template, like a goal setting worksheet. There you go. Worksheet's the word I was looking for. A worksheet. So first, I envision my future. And I do this by meeting myself in 10 years. So I do a meditation, and we're going to go through this in just a little bit, at least to practice for you. And then I write a letter from myself, from my future self in 10 years to my current self. And I see what all I have accomplished. I then envision myself in 3 years on my way to that bold, beautiful future that I talked about. And I set 3-year goals based on that vision. At the beginning of each year, I set my big goals for the year that align with the 3-year goals. Then I list the quarterly goals that I can do in the next 90 days to get me closer to my annual goals. Then I list the monthly goals that help me to achieve the quarterly goals. I update this each month. This is true alignment and how you bring your goals to life. I post my goals, meaning my 3-year goal, annual goal, quarterly and monthly goals, next to my computer and on the bathroom at work and in my room. And I'm reminded regularly of them. And so we will share a goal setting worksheet, which you see there. That's the word I was thinking of before, worksheet. We got the True Goals worksheet. And when we send you a recap of today, meaning a replay recording of this live workshop, you'll also get these tools, meaning the worksheet, the habit tracker, and our epic daily ritual guide, which we've recently created for you as well. So you want to make your goals big and simple. You strip away all the nonsense that wastes your day. You get rid of the distractions and you focus in on your goals, on your big goals, and taking action every day that helps you to get there so that you can get ready to climb higher than you ever have before because it's your time to thrive. So we're going to make all this available to you. But for now, we're going to start with a visualization. We're going to lead you to that person that you are meant to be 10 years from now. Fully alive, successful, peaceful, bold, and confident. So imagine if today, on the other side of this Zoom, was yourself from 10 years in the future. What I want you to do, and we'll do this in just a minute, I'll talk about it and then we'll give you about 5 minutes to do it, is I want you to close your eyes like we did at the beginning to get grounded, or bring your gaze down low if closing your eyes is uncomfortable for you. And I want you to meet your future self. I want you to take just a few minutes, and after the workshop, I want you to take more like 30 minutes, 15 to 30 minutes to do this exercise, but I'm going to give you a little preview of it today. So close your eyes, go to your happy place or your power place, that place that you love to be and you feel fully alive. Envision meeting yourself 10 years from now. What do you notice about them? Meaning, how do they carry themselves? What are they wearing? How do they spend their days? What do they do with their time? And ask them some questions. Ask your future self, what they do. Ask them what they've accomplished. What wisdom does your future self have to share with you? So take just 5 minutes. And after the workshop, I want you to take more like 15 to 30 minutes to try this, but this is just a preview of it. Take 5 minutes, close your eyes, and meet your future self. Go to your power place or your happy place where you feel fully alive and meet yourself there. Take those deep breaths. Find your breath. Don't get stuck on any negative thoughts or any thoughts. Just be with your future self, yourself 10 years from now, fully alive, fully confident, accomplishing what you want to accomplish. Be there with your future self. Enjoy this time. Ask questions of your future self, and we'll see you back in about 5 minutes. All right, let's start to bring some awareness back. Maybe wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, start becoming present, maybe flutter your eyes a little bit, start to come back. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that time with your future self. I hope you took a little bit to do that and experience meeting who you truly are, who you're meant to be. Now, we're going to take just another few moments while it's fresh in your mind. And I really do want to encourage you, as you will see when you get the uh, True Self worksheet that I see we've also put into the chat there if you want to download that. Um, we encourage you to take, really more like, 15 to 30 minutes to spend that time with your true self. But what did your future self show you? I want you to take a few minutes and journal some of those things we were talking about while it's fresh in your mind. What did your future self show you? Meaning, how did your future self appear? How did she dress, and how did she carry herself, and how did she look, and what wisdom did she have to share with you? So take just a few moments and write down in your journal or on a piece of paper, and just what did your future self show you? And then after that, write down three big goals that align with your future self. You don't necessarily have to set goals that you can achieve in a year or 2 years or 3 years. Just what are three big goals, three exciting goals for your life that align with that person, align with yourself 10 years from now? What are three goals? They could be accomplished in a year or 3 years or 10 years. What are three goals that align with your future self, that true self who you just met? I'll give you a couple minutes to journal that. All right, let's go ahead and bring it back. And again, all of these are things for you to do after today's workshop as well. I want to introduce this to you as concepts, start the exercises a little bit now, but after today's workshop, I hope you'll take, you know, a full, 20, 30 minutes plus to meet your true self, meet your future self, and then journal those things about meeting your true self. How did they appear? Because you can start being that person today. And as we move on, I'm going to show you how to do that. So, what did your future self show you? What are three big goals that align with your future self? Did anyone want to share any of those at all, or ask for any feedback? Feel free to, take yourself off mute, be on camera, or, you can also type in the chat there if anyone wants to share any of their three big goals that align with your future self. All right. So I'm going to share briefly. It occurred to me as I was talking about this. Every week I ask people if they want to share their goals that they were working on and their future self. Um, I'm going to share with you some of mine, uh, which I basically broke them into three categories. Remember, um, the quote by Jim Collins: "If you have more than three priorities, you have none." So my big three is to publish and launch Light in the Mirror, which is my most recent book, which I've finished working with my editor and working on publishing now. And second is start writing my book, The Spiritual Entrepreneur, which I've changed a little bit and actually is going to be called Lead with Spirit. Next one is inspire. And so I have write, inspire, and interview. So inspire is to hold habitually inspired workshops. We've changed that a little bit. As you're here today, you're in the Aligned Habits workshop. So to start workshops this year. And next was to hold a retreat in Vermont, where I am now, in August. We ended up moving that. We didn't have a number of people we hoped to sign up for that. So we moved that to next September, but we did fully plan that. And that is all set now to be launched. And lastly is interview. And that is, I want to do an interview series called Interview in Nature with spiritual leaders from around the world. And I'm going to be working on that. So I've created the plan for that, and I need to execute on that some more. But the focus has really been on getting the message out in the workshops and writing and publishing. So those are my three big goals. Anyone else want to share what they may have learned? And I will tell you, I arrived at those goals by meeting my future self. And that was, I had a very, beautiful visualization of meeting my future self. And I even started dressing like that person. It was me, but it was a little bit different. Uh, Chad has in there, don't need to grind to succeed. You just have the right approach and to ask for help. Yeah, so true, Chad. It's not just about more hard work. It's about the right work and having the right approach to it, and certainly in collaboration with others. Anyone else want to share? And don't feel like you necessarily have to, but if you do want to share. Oh, no worries at all, Pamela. Sorry, I hope everything's okay with your emergency, and that you and your loved ones and friends are all okay, and that you were able to deal with that. And as I said, when you weren't here, we do provide a recording of the course, so you will get a full recording of the course. We do these each week. We will not be doing it next week. We will not be doing it next week, but we will have it the 2 weeks after that. So I think we're not doing one. Um, Next week. I forget what day that is, the second maybe, but we will be doing the 9th and the 16th. So we will have a recording and we will have all the tools available for you, Pamela, and everyone. Yes. Okay, great. That's wonderful. I love that, Pamela. Thanks for sharing that your future self is holding space for women's healing workshops. Uh, Absolutely love that. And Deborah, go ahead. Take yourself off mute.
Well, I think mine may be too broad, but well, here we go. So something I've always enjoyed, even from my childhood, is being creative with music, and also I love doing puppets as
Yeah,
well. I've done those like all my life.
great.
So just it's interesting. As I was just relaxing and praying, because I'm Christian. So as I was praying, I asked the Lord, what can I do with this? And I think in all three of the things I'm listing here, it's to I can see other people that I want to serve in it. So the first one was about musicianship, and the creativity in those. And then I do enjoy cooking, and I thought hospitality. I really want to do that, and it it ties into my wanting to be healthy and strong, so that I can have a household that kind of, I tell my husband, our house kind of cleans itself, like very simplified and streamlined. And it's kind of fun because we're moving into a new house. So we're saying, okay, what can we give away, throw away? What's in the way? So that's fun. And then the third one, so I would really like to see us enjoying hospitality more in our home. And I love to cook. So that'll be fun. And then I do love to teach. So I don't have real clarity on that yet, but I do love teaching God's word, and I feel like being better equipped is important. I just feel the urge to be better equipped and to do a good job. And I saw humility as a part of my future self as well, sort of like more easygoing, more humble, more gentle, things like that happen. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. I don't know how you can get much more easygoing and gentle. You seem so so lovely, easygoing and gentle. So um, you exude ease and gentleness. So um, I those are not too broad at all. I think we start very broad once we meet our true self. So just by doing that exercise, meeting your future self or your true self, you hit on creativity through expression, musical expression or puppeteering, hospitality, and caring. And I think you bring all of those together, you can then boil that down into like 3-year goals. What's a goal in 3 years that allows you to hit each of those? Meaning what are, have those as your three big areas. I mean, creative expression, hospitality. I think, the last one
Was the last one, yeah.
was what?
Teaching, kind of
Teaching. Yes, yes, teaching.
study slash teach, both. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So, I mean, there's a way to either combine all those or have those as three separate goals, but making no more than three goals. And then you boil that down from that is your true self. I mean, you took that time, and instead of being like, oh, I don't know what to do today or next week or next month, you now have a clear path that says, I'm going to do, these things. And then you set, 3-year goals that align with the big broad goal, like get a little bit more specific. What could I achieve in 3 years on, creative expression? And then you start being a little bit more specific and hospitality and teaching. And then you go, okay, what's my annual goal? What's a very specific goal that I can get to by the end of the year? And then you create, quarterly and monthly goals that align with those, and you'll see those in the worksheet. And then you um, update those each quarter and each month. So, you know, we're going to go through this more. So I appreciate you sharing. And I think she probably already dropped, but we lost Karen to a 1 o'clock call. But like I said, we will make everything available. And actually, I guess while we were talking, Deborah, I think Pamela put in here too that she has a new LLC called Yoganic Expressions, which sounds absolutely wonderful. Just I got my certified in December to be a Yin Yoga instructor. I'm not sure if that has something to do with it. I do see you want to have some workshops and retreats. So if there's anything we can do to help you in that, I'd absolutely love to be able to help support you in that. If you want to talk any more about setting some of the goals related to that, I've been putting a lot of work into both workshops, retreats, as well as Yin Yoga. So I love that. So that version of you, of each of you that you just met, who's confident, clear, and and calm and bold and peaceful, that version of you is not that far off. You just met that person on the other side of the Zoom, but that person, the future you, your true self, lives on the other side of clarity and aligned habits. So we talked about getting really clear from those broad goals into more specific goals. And the truth is, you don't necessarily think your way into becoming your future self. You have to experience your way into it. You start by doing now. That's exactly why your habits are so important. That's how you make sure that you're living as your true self each day. Becoming your true self and living your life on purpose can take years or even decades. And sadly, most people never even get there. Aligned habits shape your identity over time, which is why we created this 8-week Thrive in 25 course I talked about earlier that we started at the beginning of the year. We're going to do a couple more later this year. And through that experience, each week for 8 weeks, you get immersed in a supportive and growth focused environment, which allows you to become your true self. And in that, you'll be living as your true self in just 2 months instead of taking a lifetime. So we've finished, more than half. And we talked about, getting to your true self. And now that we've talked about setting big goals and the method for doing that, we're now going to talk about building habits that reinforce your true self. So now in this section, we're going to turn your vision of your true self, that true self that you just met, into repeatable, grounded action. Your habits, which are your daily practice of becoming your true self. When I began the regular practice of meditating and journaling 7 years ago, it felt difficult at first and awkward even. And I don't know why it felt awkward. I guess I was worried my wife or, one of my kids would walk in and be like, what's this crazy guy doing sitting here in the lotus position, eyes closed? Because I didn't do it before. Um, but I stuck with it and it became natural, heartfelt, and habitual. And now it's a part of my daily life. And habits, both good and bad, are hard to break. And heaven knows I've had my bad habits like smoking or using weed or staying up too late, but I've overcome all of those and other bad habits as well. But it's a lot easier to break bad habits when good habits and positive reinforcement come in to break them. In the words of Aristotle, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. I love this quote, is my all-defining quote. It hangs in my office right behind my desk. And by retraining your brain to live a more positive, productive, and happy life, you're more easily able to achieve your goals. So even if you've done the same negative routine for decades, even if the negative thoughts are on recycle and you do the same actions over and over that keep you stuck, your brain can be reprogrammed through deliberate practice. Again, it says there, the Aristotle quote, we are what we repeatedly do. So if you want to see and do things differently, then set new habits and do them repeatedly. It doesn't happen overnight. But with practice, you can retrain your brain for love, happiness, and success. Positive habits are the key to making your dreams and your goals real. To get into a routine of positive habits, it's worthwhile to track your habits. There's a saying, you can't improve what you don't measure. Measure and track that which you want to improve. Track your habits to make them come to life. Don't wait for the future to happen. Start by being that person you're meant to be now, that person you just met. Don't wait. Be that person now. It helps to measure and track your progress in living as your true self, which is why we're going to start talking about tracking our habits. It doesn't have to be profound or difficult. Make it simple. The habitually inspired habit tracker that we created is simply a way of tracking up to 10 daily habits. So here's current habit tracker of mine. This one's from June. And this is what I'm tracking now. And the chart is broken out by week. You just write down, up to 10 habits that you want to work on or practice regularly, improve, that will help you hit your personal, professional, and spiritual goals. Those things that improve your mind, your body, and your spirit. Maybe you want to track progress on a work goal or a fitness goal. I lost over 30 pounds from tracking my intermittent fasting. For now, let's just focus on what you want to improve and start tracking it. Try to make those habits that will help you achieve your 3 big goals. The habit tracker is a great way to do this on paper or digitally. Remember though, and you'll hear me say it multiple times, if you do it on your phone, do not use your phone for the first hour you are awake. Do everything you can in your power to not use your phone for the first hour you're awake each and every day. You may only want to, use your phone to turn off an alarm or maybe play some positive music or listen to a book while you work out or meditate. But don't check social media, email, texts, phone calls. You want to orient your day. You may get stuck on an app if you go to track your habits on your phone and then switch back to checking email or texts or social media. Orienting your day properly is essential to living a life of joy. Don't check all those things or communicate with anyone other than yourself for the first hour that you're awake. Now, I don't track this because I've made it a daily habit, but it's worth tracking if you find the phone addiction taking you from setting your intention for the day. Instead of letting, the last person to send a text at 2 a.m. or the first one to send one at 5 a.m. or a social media post, they're going to control your mind and your intention for the day. Don't let that happen. Don't look at the phone for the first hour of the day, if at all possible. I've been tracking daily habits now for over 5 years. We are what we repeatedly do. So if you look there on the left, those are the habits that I'm currently tracking each day. Sleep by 10, wake by 5. So sleep by 10 the evening before, because I have to do that to get 7 hours of sleep to wake by 5 a.m. I then meditate, journal, 1 hour of flow on your top priority, read a spiritual book, read the Tao Te Ching. I'm very spiritual right now because I'm writing this book, Lead with Spirit. 30 to 60 minutes of quality content, either a book or a video, exercise or yoga, and then PM journal, which is just, a couple minutes at the end of the day where right before you go to sleep, again, no phone for the last hour before you go to sleep as well. First hour of the day, last hour of the day, no phone. A PM journal is just write down your wins for the day, whether that was, working out or spending time with family or accomplishing a work task. Just real quick, what are your wins for the day? How do you want to show up the next day? And what are your big 3 priorities for the next day? I do this every single day, and I text these to my accountability partner. We text each other our big 3 priorities for each day and whether we hit them or not from the prior day. So that's what I'm tracking right now. Do what works for you. So it changes slightly from quarter to quarter or month to month based on what I'm working on or trying to improve to get to my big goals. But many of these habits have been the same for the last 5 years. For example, one change is I used to wake up, at 5 a.m. and meditate. But last year, when I was working on my first book, The Light in the Mirror Is You, I added right from 5:30 to 7 as my first activity of the day when there are no distractions and my brain is in the right state. And this habit helped me hit the goal of writing my book in 6 months because I did it every day and tracked it. I made that commitment to myself and I hit my goal. Dawn, you have a question? I'm sorry, Deborah.
Yes, I do. Thank you.
Yeah,
I'm sorry to interrupt, but
not at all.
I was trying to jot down that point you made. You tracked your wins for the day, and then the third one was you cut your 3 big priorities for the next day. The one in the middle I missed.
Yeah, yeah, thank you. So the one in the middle is how you want to show up the next day.
How you want to show up the next day. That's good. Thank you.
Yep, just, in either an I am statement, which is great, I am that I am, but I am, you may want to say, I am, an inspirational speaker. I am a spiritual leader. I am a teacher. I am, hospitality for others, So you may want to set your intention, how you want to show up the next day is a great. So just your wins, how you want to show up the next day, and your big 3 priorities for the following day. So, is the list I have here, is it perfect? No. Do I get to every single habit every single day? Sadly, no. Life gets in the way. And I miss 1 or 2 or more of the habits. But on the days when I am at my best, I hit all my habits. And those days become more frequent the longer I track my habits. I make time for them and I make sure I do these things like my life depended on it. And you know what? My future self does depend on it. I can't reach my goals if I'm not doing these habits. And as I go along, I have more days at my best and I hit them all more often. That which is being measured is actually improving. But track what works best for you. Look at your goals that you're setting and see what you need to do to hit those goals and make sure those areas are your daily habits. That person you met, your future self, what does that person you dream of being do each day? You journaled about the vision of yourself in 10 years. You set, big 3-year goals. What does your future self do each day that you aren't doing now? Pick those things and be that person by practicing each day, and you'll quickly become that person. My life is improving each day because I'm tracking that which matters most to me. and I'm holding myself accountable by tracking it, and I'm living as my true self. 4 years ago, I envisioned my future self. I wrote that letter I described. I wrote a letter to myself from my future self. I then took those actions that my future self took. I started dressing like the person I had envisioned. It was me, but different. It was the me I wanted to become, and I started transforming into the person I wanted to become. I started tracking my habits that my future self would do, and I did them. And I started to become that person. Now, did I reach him fully? No, not yet. But my vision of my future self continues to grow and new habits emerge as I continue to evolve. So, who do you want to become? And really, are you fired up to become that person? Jim Rohn said, motivation is what gets you started. Habit is what keeps you going. So you put those together, you got to have motivation. You got to be fired up and excited. That's why you set big goals. That's how you get started. But habit is what keeps you going. We're here to thrive this year, to set big goals. But this year, we're going to accomplish those goals because we're going to put habits in place that make achieving those goals inevitable. So now I want you to take a few minutes. We've reached the end of the section on habits, and I want you to do a live habit mapping. So just take a few minutes, maybe that's 3 or 4 minutes, and write down what are 5 to 10 habits that will help you become your future self. Let's say yourself in 3 years. You don't have to get all the way to yourself in 10 years right now. Just what are habits you can put in place that will help you become yourself in 3 years? And try to make sure that those habits are aligned with those three big goals that you listed when we were talking about setting our big goals after you met your future self. So take maybe 3 or 4 minutes right now and consider what are 5 to 10 habits that you want to list in your habit tracker. We're going to make that habit tracker that I use. I showed you mine. We're going to share it with you after the workshop in the recap email. So you get um, the goal setting worksheet, and you'll also get the habit tracker as well as our epic daily ritual. And actually, Deborah, the um, PM journal description is in the epic daily ritual guide that we're going to send to you as well. So you got about, maybe take about maybe 4 minutes right now. Right, let's start to come back. Hopefully you had the opportunity to get your habits down. And feel free to share, ask any questions if you want any feedback. If anyone wants to share any of their habits or ask any questions about setting habits that align with your goals, feel free to share. Otherwise, we can get going. And by all means, also raise your hand if you have any questions.
Hello.
Hey, Deborah.
Oh, I think somebody's before me.
Oh no, go ahead. I don't know how to raise my hand on here, so you can go first.
Oh, okay, so you'll make it quick.
All right, we got you next, Pamela.
Okay, thank you, Pamela. I'm noticing that I wrote down, several things you included, my workout and cooking for the day and cleaning. So, but those were secondary to the others, and I made them in 20-minute increments. This is the fact that I had more than just the 10 because I included those. Does that sound reasonable in terms of your helpful, your pattern?
Yeah, it does. Now you want to I do want to make sure there is a difference between your daily tasks that you have to get done and it's it's a gray area sort of where the cutoff is. There's no rules here and there's no test either. So nothing you do is wrong. But there is kind of a difference between the timing that you have for tasks versus your setting your habits. And you generally want your habits to be something that align with your goals or get you to being your true self. So taking care of your daily tasks, I guess what I'm saying is it's kind of like, it's not like a chore chart for, my kids. Like I have, lay out your clothes, get dressed,
Oh, yeah.
make your bed. But you do want habits, those things that either you do for yourself or you take care of for your personal, professional, spiritual life that help you get to your true self.
So they're aligned with the goals.
Yeah, that you want them to align some of your, and they don't necessarily have to. I mean, like when I have in there, exercise or yoga, those aren't necessarily aligned with those big three goals I have in any way. That's just to be that person that achieves those things. I have to be healthy, sort of, physically and spiritually. So that's why I have exercise and yoga in there. So it may not necessarily be, just aligning with those goals. It may be something that just allows you to be the person that you're supposed to be in the future who can achieve those goals. All right, good. All right, Pamela.
Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome. Yeah, let's see. You want to unmute Pamela?
Yeah. My apologies again for being late. I
No
tried
worries.
to catch up the best I can. I love this, and this is right within my wheelhouse. Yoganic expressions is new. I've just started that last year. Just got my yoga certification, but I called it Yoganic expressions.
Congratulations.
Drumming, we do sound bowls, we use art, we do dance and movement, a lot of different things. And what I learned about yoga is more than just a mat or just a chair. To me, it's kind of like a lifestyle, just like martial arts kind of thing. So
Yes.
I have a nonprofit, Golden Ciphers. So I'm blending that with yoganic expression. So my big goal is to have a schedule, a solid schedule with bi-weekly circles for women, because we work with youth in the nonprofit and their parents, and we have family night, and to have monthly mini retreats for women for, healing and using the yoga and things like that. And my habits are, I had already started on them, reading 15 minutes a day in the morning, reading 15 minutes at night. I love martial arts. I love life, period.
Yes.
So the singing bowls, and I have a book, half book here in Cleveland. They have a store, half price bookstore. And I found the Tai Chi for entrepreneurs. And so just have a little martial arts for entrepreneurs. So I've been reading that. So that's why this is in alignment. And attending workshops and meetings that I don't normally attend within my community. So I can meet other people, find out what other people are doing, and find out more about what's in the community so I know how to implement the things that I want to do. Sometimes you can have an idea, but if you're not familiar with your community, it doesn't work because you're not in alignment. So that's all. Thank you for this.
Yeah, that's great. Those are absolutely wonderful. It seems like you were very on point. I think we're very, very well aligned. Congratulations on your certification. I know I just did that, in December, and I started going to some classes since I just moved up here in Vermont. I think they're going to get me to start teaching some soon. I was a little nervous to do that, but I think I've wrapped my head around being able to do that. And one of my instructors is like, "That's great. You got to share your light," and I'm looking forward to doing that. So congratulations on the LLC, and Yoganic Expressions is a beautiful name. Let us know if you need any support. But yeah, you want to align those habits that help you start to get there. It sounds like you're on a path to doing that. I love the concept too of, I don't want to say getting out of your comfort zone, but you talk about getting out into the community and going to do something that you don't usually do, or attend a workshop or something to meet more people and to learn more as well. And, as you were saying that too, it's reminding me I need to do that. I've moved somewhere new. I have started going to, like I said, yoga classes here and meeting new people within that community, but that's a community I'm familiar with, where I lived before. There are other areas I need to get out in the community, meet more people, and see what they do to learn and grow. So thank you for sharing that reminder with me as well.
Can I share one more
Yes, ma'am.
something I just learned? I didn't make this up. I saw it somewhere. Discipline is my delivery, because I get overwhelmed a lot from doing too much, and like bouncing off the walls of doing too many things. And I saw this quote somewhere, so I write it down everywhere. So I just want to share that with this group, because you talked about so much about habits. And as you were talking about that, I was thinking about that breeds discipline. And so discipline is my delivery from being overwhelmed in things. If I'm disciplined, then I'll be able to reach my goals. Thank you for letting me share.
Oh, yeah, you're welcome. And thank you. No, thank you for sharing. Yeah, it is really important. I mean, the point here with implementing these habits and setting these goals and being clear on it, and then, posting these goals, in your office or next to your desk and in your bathroom, so you see it on the mirror every day. It's so important because we have so much coming in at us, and we are drawn into so much. We could spend all day, every single day, which we do, most of us do, just being distracted by everything and, being pulled in all kinds of different directions. And it's at the sacrifice of our dreams and goals. So we spend every day busy. We spend every day busy and running around and doing all these things, but we're not getting to who we're meant to be. We're living just in this, busy life that's artificial. It's created. I mean, just a minute ago, I guess I said something. I don't know if you heard, if it picked it up on the mic, but Siri just went off. We just, these little devices, these, mega computers we hold in our hands keep us distracted from, getting to who we're meant to be. And so it's so important to have that discipline you're talking about, Pamela. What is it? Discipline is my delivery. Yeah. I mean, it's so important. And that's what this is. I mean, it's structure and discipline. I mean, it is a system. It is, using, the goals worksheet and the habit tracker, but, it's bigger than that. It's changing our life in a way that allows us to stay focused and disciplined. And it's a system for doing that. So, with this, we'll head into the next section. So I'm really grateful to everyone for sharing. But in this next section, we're going to talk about staying on course by overcoming setbacks and building resilience. In other words, having that discipline day in and day out, even when things throw us off, so that nothing can stop you. We're going to reinforce safety in your ascent up to the meet your true self and a long-term commitment to your success. When you set aligned goals and build the habits to match, you're not just chasing results. You're actually becoming someone new. You're becoming who you're meant to be. That version of yourself that you met, your true self you met, is who you're becoming. So I'm going to share with you a brief story that happened recently. I talked about, how we set these habits and that those habits have helped me achieve goals that I had set years ago, a few years ago, and that I continue to implement this and grow this. It's been a wonderful system for me. And I learned it from different sources and brought it all together. But Memorial Day weekend, we were at a children's party and my wife was dancing. I'll share a little bit more about that in a minute, but she ruptured her Achilles. And not just sort of sprained her ankle or anything. She fully ruptured her Achilles. And when you do that, you can't walk. And she had to get surgery. And like I said, we have 5 kids and she was a preschool teacher. She's a preschool teacher. And so this was right the last week of school. It was Memorial Day weekend, right before my kids were about to finish school. And our life ground to a halt. Well, not really. I had to keep it going. She was bedridden for about 6 weeks and almost 2 months. And she's, still now recovering some and starting to walk a little bit and in a boot. But, she spent most of this summer bedridden. And all of a sudden, I was as busy as I've ever been working on finishing editing my book, launching these workshops. I also run a company, Blue Sky Power, that does clean energy projects for schools and towns. And my habits were totally shot. I was up all hours caring for her. And I was doing all the work that she does, caring for our 5 kids and transporting everyone everywhere. And I had to put my goals and my habits and everything on hold while I completely served. I mean, 5 kids at the end of school, graduations, then that to day camps and all that. I even dropped my 3-year-old off. She just turned 4 last week, but earlier this week, rather. I dropped her off. I forgot her shoes. It's like the second to last day before school. I forgot her shoes and it was so cute. I ended up having to go to Target. She and I went to Target down the street from the school to go get her another pair of shoes. And I said something like, I forgot your shoes. And she said, I forgot them too, Daddy. And it was so cute. But, everything ground to a halt. My point in this is my habits were way, way off. When you take a risk, and you listen to your inner voice and you pursue a path, it's not about whether you get to the end goal. There will always be twists and turns. It's not about the destination, but about who you become in the process. When you set big, audacious goals, even if you fall short, even if something knocks you off your routine like that did, you end up much further ahead than you were before. And you're able to get right back into the routine. So as my wife started healing, I was able to get right back to my habit tracker. I was able to look right back at my goals and say, here's where I was. Here's what I was working on. Instead of just getting back into some, busyness or frenzy, you have a foundation. You have your habits to get, no, I didn't track my habits when I was, caring for her for, all hours and tucking everyone in and doing all this. It was about 6 weeks or so I didn't track my habits. But tracking your habits isn't a test. You're not competing against others. You're not failing if life gets in the way and knocks you off track for a week or 2 or a month or 6 weeks. You're keeping track so you can improve. Look, some weeks won't be as strong as others. Yet, if you want to live in bliss, then keep tracking and improving. You aren't always going to feel this balance you feel. When you start tracking your habits and aligning your goals, you start feeling this amazing sense of accomplishment, happiness, joy, and bliss because you are living as your true self. You're doing those things that your future self or your true self does, and you're making such great progress. But when something gets in the way, either busy life takes you from your healthy habits like sleep, meditation, journaling, exercise, or something happens that gets in your mind, those negative recurring thoughts take over again. It's not always perfect, But the more you work at it and trust your true self as your guide, the more you stick to your healthy habits and come back to your true self. No matter how busy you are and what negativity impacts your life, you're never too busy or too distracted to take 2 seconds to look yourself in the mirror and say, I love you. You're never too busy to put your hand on your heart as you drift off to sleep and say, I love you. You've got to keep going, even when you don't feel it. In fact, when you don't feel it is the perfect time to reset. When your computer isn't working properly, you reboot. When you get that little dreaded spinning wheel of death that says, your computer's frozen and ain't coming back, you press Control Alt Delete or you hold down the power button and you force a restart. Same goes in life. When things aren't going well and you're off your game, reboot yourself. Go back, look at your habit tracker, and begin again. Begin again. This is your reboot. This brings you back to your true self. This brings you back to accelerating towards your big goals. And once you head down this path and see the light it brings you, you can't unsee it. You can't unsee the light in the mirror and all around you. So even when you have bad days, those days get shorter and less frequent. You can change the trajectory more quickly. Your habits keep you going and help you get back to who you're meant to be. When a challenge, a tragedy, or even just a bad day knocks you off track, get back to tracking your habits and find your alignment with your true self again. Begin again. Now, we're going to close in just a few minutes here, but after we close too, I'm going to be available for any Q&A if you want any feedback on setting goals or your habits or your true self. But I just want to know, you can put this answer in here or come off, Mike. What's one small action you will take in the next 24 hours to move towards your true self? That version of you that you met, what's one small action you will take in the next 24 hours to move towards your true self? Just take a minute to journal that. You can also put your answers here in the chat. What's one small action you'll take in the next 24 hours to move towards your true self? Like what's something you learned here today that will help you move towards your true self? So what's one small action you'll take in the next 24 hours to move towards your future self? And I'll just give you like a minute or so. We'll talk about maybe like 90 seconds. Okay, let's see. Print out my 3 audacious goals and post them to read again. Yes. Rethink what is a task and what is a habit. Yeah. And also start a habit of making things for fun, not for immediate profit or value. That's great, Chad. Yeah. I mean, we gotta love what we're doing and just have fun doing it. So thanks for that reminder as well. So we're going to go ahead and start moving towards closing here in a second, and I'll stay on too if you want to ask any questions or do any additional feedback or Q&A. And now in this last section here, it's really about activating. It's about taking action. We just asked what's one small action you can take in the next 24 hours to move towards your true self. Now it's time, to launch. It's time to put your spacesuit on and climb into the shuttle on the launch pad to skyrocket into space, meaning into your future. Staring at the stars is inspiring, but it won't make you an astronaut. It's time to launch. A lot of preparation goes into launching a spaceship to blast off into the celestial hemisphere. The voyage only begins, though, with the decision to climb aboard and soar to your destination. Remember, we started this workshop today with that quote by Napoleon Hill that says, desire is the beginning of all success. That you need a keen, pulsating desire to live as your true self. It's painful not being who you know you're meant to be. It's painful wishing you could be that person you see in your mind, your true self. And it seems like it's either impossible to get there or it's taking forever. But it doesn't have to be painful. These are choices. This is your life to choose. Look, there are a lot of choices. These are some tough ones. You can either continue to go through the motions or live the life you're meant to live. You can stay in the harbor and stare at the sea, or you can cross the ocean. You can stare at the stars, or you can launch yourself into space. You can stay in the same painful job or create the career you want. You can stare at the phone, or you can play with your kids. You can stay up late watching TV, or you can get up early and meditate. You can busy yourself on social media or email, or you can make real progress on your big goal. You can be miserable in that relationship that you've outgrown, or you can find true love with the person that brings out the best in you. You can sing the song you're meant to sing, or you can keep it bottled inside. These are all choices, and some of these are tough choices, but they are yours and yours alone to make. I love this quote by Elizabeth Appel about becoming who you're meant to be. And the day came when the risk to remain tight in a bud was more painful than the risk it took to blossom. It's so beautiful. Your life is only created by you, and we all create our own reality by our mindset and the choices we make. You can choose to live a life of happiness and bliss by deciding to do so, but staying like tight in your bud is far more painful than the risk it'll take you to blossom. At any stage in life, this holds true. It's never too late to be who you're meant to be. Be honest with yourself. Are you living the life you're meant to live? Are you achieving the one thing that inspires you the most? If not, it's time to blossom. It's time to live life inspired. Remember the Mandela quote from earlier in the workshop. There's no passion in playing small, in settling for a life that is less than the one you're capable of living. You're capable of living an extraordinary life. Make it big. Do not play small. Do not settle. You know what you are capable of. You just need to get it out of your head, down on paper, and then take action every morning to get you closer to who you're capable of being. But it can't be small. You won't take any action if you have a small goal because it doesn't matter that much. It doesn't excite you. Most people spend their days accomplishing small tasks and going through a bunch of little actions instead of taking big actions for significant blocks of time to get to seemingly impossible goals. The digital world on our phones and fast-paced modern life have trained us to feel busy but not very productive. All that busyness keeps us from designing a bold vision for our lives and then planning out the journey and the small habits that get us there. As Les Brown put it, most people fail in life not because they aim too high and miss, but because they aim too low and hit. Love that. Don't aim for these low targets accomplished by small menial tasks. Aim high in life and work. You're meant to live an extraordinary life. If you invest in yourself and start what was recommended here today, you will find true freedom and happiness. So you can make excuses or you can awake with intention. Look in the mirror, say, I love you, and then implement the steps prescribed today to return to your true self and be the person you're meant to be. But don't wait until that still small voice inside is suppressed to a faint whisper and you don't hear it anymore. You know what you need to do. If you pause for a minute to listen, to truly listen, you will hear your higher power and your inner voice calling to be the force for great good in this universe that you are meant to be. Listen to it, write it down, and then every day, do what is necessary to get you closer to being that brilliant light you're meant to be. See the light in the mirror every day and then watch it glow and grow. Life is to be lived and lived out loud. Life is to be enjoyed with enthusiasm. Love is to be shared and spread far and wide. The journey isn't always smooth, and roadblocks always pop up unexpectedly. But the tools provided today help make the journey smoother and get you around the roadblocks faster. Those that love you will be there for you. I love you and will be there with you on your journey. I'm always happy to help guide you up the mountain as you climb to meet your true self. As your feet hit the floor tomorrow morning, simply say to yourself, it's going to be an amazing day. I say this to myself every single morning when I get up. It's going to be an amazing day. And then walk into the bathroom, step in front of that mirror, lock eyes with yourself and say, I love you. And then go spread that light out into the world. The world needs your light to shine brightly now more than ever. As you awake with intention, with your goals set and your habits aligned, put down the phone, turn off the negative news, and just listen to that still small voice inside you. Listen to yourself and your higher power, and then write down what you hear. And don't wait. Turn what you wrote down into action you can take today to live the life of your dreams, to be the person you are meant to be, to live your life of love, happiness, and bliss. What you learned today is a solid foundation for living as your true self, but truly living in alignment takes practice and consistency. At the end of this year, we're hosting the next Thrive in 25 8-week course, which is designed to fast track your journey to your true self through weekly lessons, group coaching, and a supportive community. So if you're curious, open, or even just intrigued, we'll send the link with special discount in our recap email that has all the information about the workshop, and you'll know if it's right for you because you've already met your true self and you're ready to align with who you're meant to be. So we want to talk about a little bit of homework that you have from today's workshop. And I talked about earlier, I reiterated it when you did the visualization. Take at least 15 minutes and hopefully up to 30, maybe even more, to imagine meeting yourself 10 years in the future. You know, how do you look? How do you carry yourself? What have you accomplished? What wisdom do you share with yourself? Meet yourself 10 years from the future and see what wisdom you can gain from your future self. And then love this exercise. And like I said, I've done it a few times. Write a letter from your future self, from yourself 10 years from now or 3 years from now. That person you met in your mind, to write a letter from that person to your current self, to yourself today. Keep it and refer back to it regularly. This is your true self telling you which direction to go. So if you want to, gain any other insights into some of the stuff we're working on, you can follow us on social media. I think we have up there, our Instagram, LinkedIn, and TikTok. We post stuff on Instagram. On LinkedIn, usually we're posting articles and we provide positive content on there as well. So I'm happy to stay. I know we're close to time right now. We only have 8 minutes left, but if you want to share or ask any questions, I'm happy to stay on to answer any questions you might have or discuss anything in the process of meeting your true self, setting your big goals, working that down to your annual, monthly, and quarterly goals, and implementing your aligned habits and using the habit tracker. Anyone have any questions they want to ask or any thoughts they want to share?
Ben, will you be sending these notes to us, or how
Yep.
do
So yes, good question, Deborah. So there it is. Always quick on the uptake. After this workshop, we are going to send a recap email. It's going to have a recording from today. We're going to have this whole course that we just did recorded and sent out to you. You'll receive the habit tracker worksheet, and you'll also receive the goal setting worksheet as well. I don't see that listed there, but we'll get that. And this new resource we created, the Epic Daily Routine Checklist, that has, it's a morning and an evening routine. It has in that information about the PM journal. So you will get an email. Make sure you check your spam folder, but you will get an email with, chock full of resources.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. This
Oh.
is very, very inspiring.
Yep. Thank you so much for sharing. I really appreciate it. And
Yeah.
thank you all for being here today.
Thank you so much.
All right. Any other questions?
Oh, and when will you have the next workshop like this?
Yeah, the next workshop is going to be, I believe, October 9th. So we're not doing one next week on the 2nd. You're so welcome, Mom Juarez. Thank you for joining us. October 9th and October 16th. We have 2 more coming up.
Okay. Is it a repetition of this one, or the next?
It's going to be the same as this one. We're doing this Aligned Habits workshop for the next, through the end of October. And then we will do another, we're working on the content for the next one. And we actually have this great new thing we're working on. I'm really excited. I'm glad you asked that question, Deborah. We're also doing next, it's called the True Self Project. It's a 30-day habit challenge. We've already recorded 3 weeks of it. We're working on the 4th week now. And that is a video each day that goes much deeper into these things that we covered today in an hour and a half. So we're excited about it. So keep an eye out for the True Self Project. And we'll also have some new workshops coming up too. All right. Anyone have anything else? Any other questions, comments? All right. I'll stay on for another minute or two if anyone has anything else. Yep, you're so welcome, Pamela. Great meeting you. Thank you for sharing. And best of luck with Yoganic Expressions. I absolutely love it. Keep us, updated on what you're doing.
Thank you. And I appreciate you making this available and making it free and making it, during the day. So I learned a lot, even though I was late. So thank you. And thank you for making the audio.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, just keep an eye out in your email, maybe even check the spam, but you will be getting a full recording. So you'll be able to catch up on anything you missed before.
Okay. Thank you so much. Everybody have a wonderful rest of your day.
All right. Bless you. Best of luck. All right. Any other questions? Last chance. All right. Well, thank you all so much. I really appreciate it. Great workshop today. Thank you, everyone, for sharing. And you'll be getting all these resources. Check your email. Have a great day.